Long ago, I had a friend talk to me about um, some Adderall that she was prescribed, and she told me that her pediatrician had prescribed it to her for weight. And I looked over to her, and having some prior medical knowledge, I said, I don't think that's legal. But I went ahead and did some research that night, and I got back to her, and I was like, hey, yeah, that's 100% not legal. After doing some research on some government websites and finding a few other articles about it, it had come up to show me that a lot of doctors actually medicate people for things to solve whatever issue easier. So, a pediatrician, you take your kid there. Maybe you want your kid to get healthier, lose some weight. The doctor's best way to keep that patient, put them on a medicine that lowers the weight, even though it's not completely illegal. Well, it's not illegal. I mean, it's not legal at all. Apologies. Doctors will put you on Adderall because it works extremely quickly and will manage your weight pretty well. And it does this by lowering your diet and lowering the hunger you have, as well as just overall lowering your weight. So it'll make you basically less hungry than normal. You'll lose your appetite a lot faster. But this isn't the only example I found of people over medicating or medicating when isn't needed. I met a lot of people who had previously been on medications, and these medications led to negative effects. And of course, medications lead to negative effects. That's a completely normal thing with medications. But the general rule of thumb, through all my research that I found, the general rule of thumb is if the medication or if the effects of the medication are worse than what the doctor is trying to prevent, then you should not give the medicine or you should take the medicine off after they've experienced these extremely negative effects. So, for example, if the person is experiencing some sleeping problems every 1 week, 2 weeks, sucks, yes. It is not worth also making the person feel depressed or have major mood swings, and these are types of things that happens in lots of medicines, and it just depends person to person. But sometimes it also depends on other mental illnesses or other physical things that doctors can know. So important to notice, not always noticeable, um, but my point in this essay is not to say that medicine is no good and very bad. My point is medicine is a tool that should be used carefully. I plan to talk about the dangers of medicine, the dangers of over medicating, and the dangers of not fully understanding um, what the medicines can do. Um, as I had previously said, one of the easiest examples is Adderall. Sometimes doctors will prescribe this for weight, and they'll do it under broad illnesses such as ADD or ADHD. That's because these broad things could be technically applied. So if your kid is slightly struggling in school, they could just write it under as ADHD and write it under focus. And this is a problem because ADHD is more than just focus, and you shouldn't medicate for things that aren't actually the case. But Adderall isn't the only example. A lot of people will give wrong. I mean, a lot of people will give medications that they know will give negative effects. This happens especially with bipolar. Um, there was one time I was listening to a doctor. He was giving a speech, and he was a psychiatrist, and he was talking about the two different types of medication for bipolar depression. Um, I think one of the major ones was lithium, and I can't recall the other one. It was a very long and complex name, but he had basically said the negative effects of one and the other effects of the other. But the difference was the price. Um, the one that was more expensive gave worse effects, but still helped with the bipolar. Just also led to just general depression and other moods, well, not mood swings, but other things happening that would uh, generally outbalance bipolar. So a lot of doctors still prescribed it because it gave money to big pharmacy, and that money then went back to the doctors when they sold it for higher amounts. So it depends on one of two things. If the medication is in the institution, sometimes doctors will sell it for shelf value, and they'll make the money. Or if you are sent to go somewhere else, sometimes big pharmacies will send monies to doctors for using and advertising their product. Advertising, um, but that is why it is, or that's how and why they do it. I think a big thing is to know what to do, because medicines are extremely important. If you are feeling extremely depressed, you should definitely seek professional help, and consider being medicated if that's what your therapist suggests. What's important is to do your own research. A lot of us don't do our own research because uh, why would we? There's a medical professional right there that's telling you, "Hey, this is good for you." Why would we question them? But the thing is, a lot of medical professionals don't even realize they're doing it. A lot of these medical professionals are straight out of med school or have just worked at this institution their entire life. And the institution has just told them, "Hey, sell them this." And the students or the doctors don't question it. They give it to you, and no one expects you to do research. No one expects the doctors to do research. And while these are things that you think that the doctor should know, a lot of med school is spent not on which medicine outweighs the other, but instead just talking about overall medicines. But my point is, research is key here. If you can do the proper research, you can ensure the safety of you or a loved one. Um, and what you're looking for is negative effects of medicine, what this medicine is used for, and reading what it has been given to you for. If your doctor has said that it's for weight and it has been given to you for ADHD, you should consider maybe not being on this medicine. Um, Once again, I think that medicine is an extremely important tool, and I want to um, very much emphasize the need for medicine in this state of our world. But at the same time, like I said, I think research, research, carefulness, all that is great. I think medicine is a dangerous tool, and with great power comes great responsibility.